we start. Buenas tardes, estamos aquí en Shamrock con Freddy Negrete. Hello, Freddy.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Can you tell us your name? What's your name?
Yes, Freddy Negrete. But as Gavachos say, Freddy Negrete.
Freddy Negrete, yeah. And,
it rhymes like that.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 63.
63. How do you meet the tattoo?
You know, I first was interested in tattooing because I grew up in the barrio on the east side of LA. Joined the barrio gang, and I could draw. I could always draw, you know. And when my older homeboys would come out of prison, they showed me how to hand poke a tattoo, you know, prison style, with a sharpened guitar string, and you kind of melt it in a toothbrush, make a handle, wrap it with thread, and just, you know. So I became like the little barrio tattoo artist, you know, doing plaqueazos, you know, like that, crosses, roses, you know, things that we liked in the barrio, you know. You know, the Chicano style has to do with images that are very important to us, like Azteca, you know, the Aztec warrior and the princess, you know, and the relics, you know. Those are very important to us because we feel like that's a great heritage that we have a part of, you know. The Aztecs were a great empire and a great people, you know, and great warriors, you know, and we looked at ourselves as warriors, you know. Also the Revolution. Pancho Villa, Zapata, the Chara, you know, with the bullets, you know, those things represented being rebels, you know. We were raza living in a white world, you know. They didn't understand us, you know, and you know, we suffered at the hands of the police brutality. You know, we were isolated. Chicanos were isolated, you know, and we saw ourselves as rebels. You know, we weren't for this white system, you know, and so those images were very important to us. Also, the Católico, you know, Catholic images, because our mothers were religious, you know, and our grandmothers, they loved Jesus and Mary and the church, but it meant something to us. It had something to do with our culture, you know, the religious images of Mary and Jesus and crosses and roses and you know. So those were the images that meant something to us, that we identified with. So being a artist, I would always draw those images, and as a tattoo artist, I would tattoo those images, you know. Also writing, you know, names, and the name of your barrio has something to do with, you know, who you are. I'm Coyote, and where you're from, La Sangra, you know. That's my barrio, Sangra and Sangreville. So growing up in the barrio was also challenging because I got in a lot of trouble, you know, gang activity, shootings. I wasn't a nice guy, you know. Robberies, and so I spent most of my life, you know, as a kid in juvenile hall, in camp, youth authority, and finally prison. And it's in prison where the tatuaje really developed and became sophisticated with the Chicanos, because they invented the little machine you know, made from a motor, from a cassette player or a CD player, and we made these little homemade machines, and we did beautiful tattoos. All of that imagery that we love so much, you know. So that's where I really learned how to tattoo in prison. And out here, professional style tattoos were only one way, you know, with like a bold outline with color, and it looked kind of like cartoonish a little bit. But in prison, you know, we wanted our tattoos to look realistic. If we were going to do a beautiful woman, we wanted her to look like real, you know, and we were able to accomplish that by using the only thing available to us, which was black ink. We didn't have no colors, you know, and we wanted our lines to be really fine, so you can't see the line so much, you see more shading, you know. And so this prison style of tattooing was turned out to be more artistic and more fascinating to look at. If you look at a tattoo and somebody has a picture of their mother or their father or somebody, you know, you're amazed. It's like, wow, that's amazing that you can do that on skin, you know. And so that's my background, you know, in the Chicano culture, the prison life, you know, the barrio, and that's where I learned how to tattoo. Finally, when I got out of prison,
you remember some names of the tattooers inside?
Oh yeah,
the other ones.
Oh yeah. Few of my homeboys are really good prison tattooers. My homeboy Tarzan from Sangra, Little Man from Sangra, Pom Pom from Lote Maravilla. You know, a lot. There was a lot more. Those are some of my, you know, closer friends, you know, that I learned a lot from, you know. So
you remember some scene with them, some day, some.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I saw the Chicano style tattooing. I was in juvenile hall. I was 12 years old. I ran away from home. They caught me, and I was in juvenile hall. They were going to release me that day. I had to go to court. So I was in a cell, a court cell, all by myself. And they brought this other kid in. I was 12. He was like 16, 17. Cholo, gangster, and tattoos all over. And I saw him, and I was just amazed, you know. And he probably would have never talked to me, you know, because I was just a little kid, you know. But I asked him about his tattoos, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you get a needle and thread, you know, dip it in ink." And he also told me, he goes, "Or you could dip it in your mascara, you know, girls' makeup, mascara. It also works, you know." Yeah. And he told me how to do it, and my life really changed that day by meeting him, because not long after I joined the barrio, I became a cholo myself, you know. But that day when I got out of juvenile hall, I remember I was in my bed, and I like made a tent with a flashlight, and I got my sister's mascara, and I put this little line on my hand. That thing is old now, but you know, I was gonna write my name. Eventually, by the time I was 13, my whole arm was covered with hand poke tattoos. But that was a defining moment for me. Later on, me and his name was Buckwheat from Mariana Maravilla, and you know, later on we became good friends, you know, because I was in jail with him later. But I never told him I was that little kid, you know, in the cell. Anyways,
that was strange, huh?
Yeah.
You met him when you were a kid, and then you know.
And I became like him, you know.
Yeah.
And we became really good friends, you know. I was in youth authority with them, and we became friends on the streets, and you know, so.
So then, when you go out from jail, and it was hard to Chicano get a job.
Yeah, and I never even thought about getting a job. You know, like as soon as I got out, you know, I met a girl that was a telephone operator. She got me an apartment. You know, she took care of me, gave me money. I never thought about getting a job, you know, but I did think about doing tattoos, and I made my machines, and I set up in my kitchen, and I started tattooing everybody around that neighborhood. You know, I didn't know how much to charge. I think I would charge $15 for a big old tattoo. But people started coming to me and saying, hey, there's a tattoo shop on Whittier Boulevard. So Whittier Boulevard in East LA was big. Every Sunday, everybody from LA would go to Whittier Boulevard with their lowrider cars and cruise up and down the boulevard. So when they told me there was a tattoo shop on Whittier Boulevard called Good Time Charlie's, and they were showing me the work, and I was like, wow, this looks really good. You know, there was a guy over there, Weddle, Jack Rudy, and and I saw the work, and I was like, this is really looks just like it was done in prison. See, everybody wanted tattoos, but they wanted all the homeboys and Chicanos, they wanted their tattoos to look like they were done in prison, you know, because they wanted to identify with the culture. And also, if you've been to prison, you got to be tough, you know. Yeah. Prison is a tough place with race riots and stabbings, and you know, it's not easy to survive there, you know. You have to always be on your toes and always be ready to fight, you know, stab somebody or get stabbed, you know. It's a treacherous place. So if you make it out of prison, people look up to you, you know, in the barrio. They're like, this guy's bad. He's badass, no? He's a badass guy. Yeah. Badass guy. So everybody wanted their so it'd be nice to get prison tattoos without actually having to go to prison.
Yeah.
But
so, you remember when you first met the
Jack?
Güero? Yeah.
Yeah. So people would come and show me his tattoos, and then I would tattoo them and tell them, hey, go show Güero. You know, and they would go to the tattoo shop and show Jack. And so finally somebody came and said, hey, Güero wants to meet you. You know, he wants you to go to the tattoo shop. So I got my artwork together and some people that I tattooed, and I went over there, you know, to meet him. And Güero, you know, he's white, but he grew up in the barrio, so he looked the part. You know, there's a lot of whites in the barrio, you know, that take on that culture. You know, they prefer it. So him and I got along really good, you know, and he loved my work. I loved his work. He didn't offer me a job or anything like that. I noticed the other guys working at the tattoo shop, they didn't really talk to me, or they didn't, you know, they were bikers, you know. Yeah. And back then the bikers, they ran all the tattooing, you know. So bikers were never going to give a Chicano a job as a tattoo artist. There was not one Chicano tattooing, you know. Maybe there might have been some Hispanic here and there, but they weren't from the barrio or from prison, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so you know, I told Jack, yeah, we'll stay in touch. Not long after that, Good Time Charlie, who owned the tattoo shop, he quit tattooing and became a Christian, and he sold the tattoo shop to Ed Hardy. And so Ed Hardy, when he first saw this new work that Jack and Charlie were doing, he was blown away. Ed Hardy is like the biggest name in tattooing, and he's the one really that introduced the Japanese style to the tattoo world, you know. So when he saw this black and gray style, he was just blown away, you know, like, so when he bought the shop, Jack told him about me, and Jack and Ed Hardy said, hire him. We got to get this guy in here. He could relate to these people. And I knew the style. They were attempting to do Chicano style, prison style tattoos.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was one of the founders of it, you know, like one of the originals.
Yeah.
You know, and so Jack had me go in there, and I was supposed to do a 2-week apprenticeship. You know, he had me do a practice tattoo, and I did one of my tricks was doing a tattoo, a girl's face, without any drawing or anything, just going for it.
Yeah. So
I went ahead and did that, you know, I guess maybe to impress him. He was impressed. He gave me the job. And then the next day, the other guy working there, the other biker guy, quit. So I don't know if it was because he didn't like the fact that they hired me, but he quit. And so I started working the next day, you know, and Jack and I continued to work together, and along with Ed Hardy and Bob Roberts and Mark Mahoney and others, we originated a new style of tattooing based off the Chicano culture and the prison style.
At this time, you remember another Chicano guys who was doing tattooing, the ones that nobody in the commercial. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect you.
Were there any?
Other?
There was no other.
No. Okay.
No, not anywhere.
No. Okay.
There were some prison tattooer artists, you know, tattooing out of their garage and things like that. But professionally, no.
No professionally. Another guys who was working, his work was good too. No.
Yeah, there was other guys.
You know.
I can't remember the names, but there were other guys that were tattooing in their apartments, and you know, just not professionally.
Yeah.
So we were the first ones to
do it
professional.
How was working with it and this and Mark Mahoney, this the beginners of the new age of tattooing? I think you're right, because not only did we introduce a new style, but along with Ed Hardy and us together, we were trying to get people to see tattooing as a form of art, because people would look at tattoos and say that's not art, literally. Yeah.
Nobody says that anymore. You know, everybody looks at it and says, this is art, it's beautiful art, and it's on the body, and it's, you know, but back then people would say it's not art. And so our objective was to get people to see that what we were doing was original and artistic, and that tattooing was another form of art. And luckily I've been alive long enough to see our objective realized, because it is an art now.
Yeah, it's always, I think it's always been art, but not all the work is art, no?
I think it's always been art, but people didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
It had a negative light. If you had tattoos, you were either in prison, a gangster, in the Navy, or you were a criminal, you know what I mean? It had a bad stigma.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah, you remember another parts of this journey with these people when you actually growing up in tattooing life, professional life?
Yeah. You know, there was a lot of good times. I learned a lot from Ed, because when I first saw Ed Hardy's work, I was amazed. you know, like I thought we were doing something beautiful and different, you know. And I remember when I first met Ed Hardy, he brought photographs of his work. And first he wanted to see my work and what I was doing, you know, and then he showed me his full body Japanese coverage, you know, and I was just like, wow, this is another level. I never saw anything like that. I never saw Japanese style tattooing, you know. So I was able, together we were able to take all these styles, you know, and try to bring them together. Like I was trying to get bigger with the Chicano style. I even mixed color and black and gray, and you know, like the Japanese do, and it was a big time of development and learning. And so over the years, you know, it's attracted really great artists. You know, maybe back then, if you were a great artist, you would paint for movies or, you know, stuff like that. You wouldn't think about becoming a tattoo artist. And that's not the case now. Now you could be like a Leonardo da Vinci's quality artist and decide to do your art on skin. It's a pure art. There's no computers or no, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not involved. It's only handmade.
It's handmade.
Yeah.
It's a real art. You know, maybe it's going to be the last pure art, but it's definitely
the oldest.
And it's the oldest.
It's
yeah.
The oldest.
So there, you know, I had a lot of great experiences with, you know, all those. I guess there was Ed Hardy, Jack Rudy, Good Time Charlie, Bob Roberts, Mark Mahoney, you know, myself, Kate Hellenbrand, you know, like there were others, you know, and we had a vision for tattooing, and Ed was our leader, and he was leading the way with publishing books and showing the world what was being done, you know, and he was a genius.
Yeah, for sure. He helps all of you to develop your skills and then show that to the world. Exactly.
And even, you know, like he also named the style black and gray realism. He named it.
He named it?
Yeah. I remember he was going, okay, so when we put this out there, this new style is going to be called black and gray realism. I was Jack Rudy was saying, no, it should be single needle. And I was like, no, it should be joint style. And he's like, black and gray. And then, you know, I was still going by my gang name, Coyote, and he goes, nah, no more Coyote, you know, it sounds like you can be Freddy Negrete and Jack Rudy, because Jack was always Güero and I was Coyote, you know. But he helped us to promote things a certain way and put it out there, you know. We did the work, you know, and he was instrumental.
So I don't know. You when you see your work out the neighborhood, and the white people likes it, and around the world, they are seeing you. What do you think about this when you were there, seeing all that changing around you?
You know, that's funny when, you know, when I see artists from other parts of the world and they always come up and say thank you for what you've done for tattooing and stuff like that. And you know, I don't have a real high and mighty opinion of myself. I'm like, dude, I'm just a gangster. I learned how to do this in prison, you know. But I think it is amazing that what we did had such an impact, not only on tattooing. Tattooing is having an impact on the world, and it connects the whole world. So when artists in Mexico or Europe or Australia, you know, they're connecting with what we're doing, it's kind of making a global family, you know.
Yeah.
And it's having an impact on the world. You know, we're together, we're one. You know, we're tattooers, we're tattooed people, you know. And so I think it's amazing, and I love the fact too. I don't mind when people around the world they do the Chicano style. It makes me feel good that people would hold that style so highly and learn it and do it in Italy, you know,
Yeah.
or Japan or Australia or Mexico, wherever, you know, like it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to hear that I had something to do. I made some kind of an impact, introduced a style that would be so loved around the world, you know.
What are the biggest treasure tattooing give to you?
I think first of all, the biggest pleasure I get out of it is doing something for somebody that makes them feel good, you know. You know, before people would say, well, you're ruining people's lives. They can't get a job or whatever. But when you do a beautiful tattoo on somebody, they love it so much and appreciate it so much. And I feel like I just did something good for this person. I made them happy. And that makes me feel good about myself. You know, and then of course, you know, I make a living. I'm not rich, but I don't need to be. I make enough money to live and be happy, support my family, and do all the things that I want to do in this life. You know, so you know, to be able to make a living doing something that helps people and provides for you, you know, that's the dream, right? Doesn't everybody want to work at a job where they're doing something good, something that makes them feel good, something that they love, and they can make a living?
Yeah,
you know,
it's a dream.
That's the dream.
It's a dream. So anything else do you want to share with us?
Well, just I really believe in what's in this tattoo thing. I don't think it's gonna slow down. I think it's gonna get better, and more people are gonna be interested in it, and we have a great future in it, so long as we stay responsible, tattoo clean, do good work, and you know, I'm happy. I feel good about the future of tattooing. I don't think it's a passing fad at all. I don't think it's just something that the kids like to do, you know. I think every generation is more and more loving, you know, this thing called tattoo, and the more, you know, that, like the way movies, you know, I used to do tattoos for movies too, you know. And I think directors and producers were saying, you know, this is helping our character development. You know, we can tell more of a story about this person by the tattoos that they wear, you know. So it's just amazing how far it's come in our lifetime. Usually something doesn't develop that much, but how far it's come in our lifetime, and this prospect for the future, where it's going, you know.
Thank you, Freddy.
Okay.